Welcome back. This is Tablet Talks. This is episode 4 of Tablet Talks. We now have a full square of episodes for Tablet Talks. That's pretty lit. I'm your author, I'm your host, I'm your creator, your fellow spirit, Tehuti with the booty, Symmetry, Chase Clarence Calloway, Chicatet, Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus. So many names. Let's not get attached to any of them, really. Let's just know that they're natural expressions of who we are when we're actually in tune with our infinite individuality, which is what spirituality is. So, in this series, if you've been with us for the last 3, where we are communicating with that 3 before we get really structured in these episodes about going through my tablets, then you've seen that the whole purpose of dissecting every single translation is to actually get to the truth and to expose the truth of how I would have written it if I were writing in English. Because the point of all of my texts being released in this way is to trap the minds of the individuals who are interested in gaining the wisdom that I put out. So this is what these light white supremacists are focused on using their energy to do in the universe, is colonize indigenous spirits, creations, and then use them to enslave other spirits. So, we have cycles of just spiritual warfare and everything. The big point that I love and I feel like it's important to consistently hammer in is that everything is communicating, because communication is the externalization of spirit. This is why air, the ka, is considered the spirit, because air is just how the spirit moves, because air is a combination of the two opposite sides of what a spirit can possibly be. That's the point of what air is supposed to be. So fire is like the high vibrational side, water is a low vibrational side. And when spirit brings us together, it has balance. That's air. And now that's actual communication. So everything in the universe is a 3 if you can see it. If you can see it, it's communicating its imaginations and desires in that space from an infinite individual perspective. Light, white supremacist, Luciferian, Freemasonic entities out here desire so hard to colonize the minds, to steal other people's ideas, to steal other spirits' spaces from them. Like that's what North and South America, the whole colonization of these lands was a very physical representation of a much greater metaphysical move to do as much as possible to make spirits lost in light. So these light supremacist entities believe that if they can make you think that your spirit is light and that your spirit is something you can see, they can now control you as a spirit, because you are now tethering your water to whatever is in the physical world. And because they're colonizing what you can see so hard, they colonize my tablets, they colonize everything. Now, no matter what you latch onto, it's something that's meant to make you think that your spirit is light so that you stay stuck in a simulation that isn't even working for you. So I'm here to share with you all the wisdom that I have. And specifically the wisdom that I have in terms of using fasting to not be scared of death, and then increasing your awareness so you actually build your own world. Okay? Because a lot of this fear of death comes from spirits not knowing where they're going to go next. And the point is you. you go to you next. You go to you next. You should be coming to this world and learning how to build your own world so I can visit there. Like this is what video games are, right? So notice how these light white supremacists are weaponizing all of spirituality. Like, they can't help but do what we're already doing, but in a way that traps us. So that's why video games are so big. Okay, because video games are supposed to be what life is. We are consciously as spirits supposed to be creating simulations for us to visit. That's what planets are, right? Like when we think of like Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Like you can just hypothetically build your own planet, have your own spaceships, and then fly to other like friends' planets and stuff. And then that's where you get like galactic communication. See, it's all going to be communication. It's just about how it looks based on the imagination in that certain space. And it's all infinite. So the entities here really want to trap you. And that's why I'm doing this series. That's why you're here. And that's why we're about to get into this fourth installment of the translation of my text, titled The Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. This is translated by M. Doreal, edited by Bart Marshall. Cool. And yeah, Thoth and Hermes, these are both bodies that my spirit uses to express itself. It's easy to say past lives because it looks like that, but everything's happening at once. So they're not even past lives to me. Like if I just wanted to close my eyes, bro, and just like get in there, like it's all happening at once. You know, like time is one. So like everything that your spirit has and ever will do, it's done. And then like infinity is going because you do have free will of like, now it's like, it's about who are you naturally with even that awareness. Like who are you naturally? Because even like there's no future as we can see, really. Like there's no such thing as a future. The only future is someone telling you a projection of their desires or a projection of how they feel like life will go based on how other spirits are projecting their desires. But the future is always going to be desire. So the point of life is that you make it. We create life. We are our own art. We are nothingness, and then we create something out of nothing so that we can express ourselves and connect with other individual nothingnesses. This is the whole point of art. This is the whole point of spirit. This is the whole point of all of us being infinitely individual, but when we're just in our own space, we're only interacting with ourselves. Like when you're dreaming, like think about how quote unquote lonely it would be to be spending time with like millions of people on earth. But every time you look at them, you know that you're in full control of them because they're just a projection of your subconscious and it all exists within your space. At some point, you're just not learning, like you're not actually being productive. Really, like that's not a good environment to build in. Like you have to learn how to build on your own, but when you're only building on your own, then you're not actually doing something on a grander scale, basically. Because it's easy for any spirit to be anything when they're alone. But once you step out of your space, right? Like this is why like this is what fighters do. So if you just think about an MMA fighter, they can be in their home training and they can be training 3 hours a day and think that they are the toughest one around. Just think like they are an absolute god beast. And then the moment they finally step out of their house, because in their dream, they're just Goku. They're Goku and Vegeta combined, right? They're already Gogeta and they don't need to fuse with anyone because they train for 3 hours a day. And then they meet an MMA fighter who trains for 6 hours a day and gets their butt handed to them. And then they're like, oh, snap, I thought I was lit. But this other individual who has nothing to do with me or like anything with my imagination just beat me. And now it's up to you whether you get inspired by that individual to be a better version of yourself, or you get upset and angry at them, you project your anger or whatever, negativity onto them, or like you like somehow have this other like religious idea that like, okay, well, we're both created by the same God, so that's just how it had to be. And it's no, they are their own separate God. That's why they're doing something differently than you. And the idea that we're all created by one God is the highest, utmost white light supremacist spiritual colonialism, which is the foundation of what was used to justify the brutal enslavement and genocide of indigenous peoples throughout North, Central, and South America. The idea that they were all created by something that gave these people permission to do whatever they wanted to them, when no, that's just an excuse to violate the consent of others and somehow be worshipped while doing it, all while feeling like you're doing the right thing. Welcome to the underworld. I mean, this is like this. I get it. Like, it looks pretty. It looks pretty. So that's nice. Let's get in here. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. So this is all English. We're here. We're about to decolonize, decode, and decrypt these hieroglyphic texts. Let's look at these hieroglyphs. Yeah, the reason I have a bird head, by the way, like, you're not going to find this on the internet unless you like actually talk to me. It's everything I'm talking about with communication. Notice that birds rule communication. So when this society is like, oh, Thoth had an ibis head because he would he'd clean himself, and like ibis would clean himself, and it showed that they were wise, or he had an ibis head because he would put his head in the dirt like an ibis and draw wisdom from the darkness to the light, like an ibis gets food from the darkness to, and it's like, those are nice and all, those are like cool details. The point is communication. The point is that birds are the bodies that rule freedom. Like, they are the most free spirits. They can see how everything is connected. They're not limited to whatever landscape they happen to be in, like an ant or any land creature, really. Like, a bird is high vibrational. A bird really can't even get hurt by other animals or have to deal with the dramas of other animals unless it purposefully swoops down for whatever reason. Of course, it literally can't fly forever. So shout out trees as well. So that's why I love birds. Okay, birds rule communication. Birds are the most free bodies, spirits. To truly be free, the point is that you need to be like a bird. And to drill that in on a more spiritual level, you have to be desireless. Like, if you really want to be free, like truly free, it's all about having no desire. The desire to be free shows that you're not free. And that's where it's like, oh, a flip, and it becomes a black hole. And it's just like, it's got to be like pure zero. That's how you have true freedom. Because it's only from being completely desireless and just nothing that you can then create infinitely from your space. And just shoot that ka out, get that air out, get that hoo, create some stuff. You feel me? Make a human, right? Like, literally, like, this is how it happens. This is life. Like, we're breathing all the time. We create life with our breath. This is the spirit. The externalization of the spirit is breathing out. And the spirit in general is just no breath at all. So that's where the mental realm is like breathing in. That makes sense? I think that makes sense. I've never really explained reality in terms of breath, but that only makes sense. Like, a spirit being nothing is not breathing in or breathing out. So that's the spiritual realm. Physical reality is breathing out, which really means that mental reality needs to be breathing in. So before spirit can breathe out and project itself, it needs to actually breathe in. So that's the point of fire and water. The fire and water realm is the internal, and then the air and earth realm is a, and that's all the time. We're all the time. Every time you breathe, you're creating life, okay? You truly, based on your fire and your water, your imagination and feelings, and how your spirit is combining these, you are creating life, and then that solidifies into everything you see before you. So this is why light white supremacists are so obsessed with colonizing our minds and making us believe in all of their logic, because we have infinite magical power that they need to shut us off from so that they can use it. Hence, this stuff, right? All in English and everything. So let's hit this. Let's get in here for episode 4 of Tablet Talks. I'm kind of excited, okay, because the first episode was like, it was fine. It was like basic translation stuff of someone who just seemed like they were like a fan, quote unquote, or just like passionate about it. Then naturally, the language in that first tablet was Christian and all about serving some other god and how darkness is ignorance. So you need to worship light forever and be filled up by someone else's light. Like you're just getting pounded by someone else's light. And like, oh, you need to be full forever. And then the second tablet, so that was like chill. Second tablet was someone actually claiming to be me, right? Like I'm Chase. That person said that they're Jace and that they're actually Thoth, Charles, Octave, or whatever. They have a whole thing on Amazon, and then it's literally all just about how they're ruled by a government. And it goes against all the spiritual individuality and freedom stuff that I'm talking about, comedy. So yeah, Jace, we went over those tablets in episode 2. And then episode 3 was the longest, where I made a lot of connections over wild traumas that I've had in my life and just weird situations and so much, and just how like deeply connected I had to learn everything is based on the astral realm, the physical realm, the spiritual realm. It's all happening at once because we feel like it, because we feel like connecting. And that third episode, we saw that these women feel like connecting with me so much that they took this whole idea of worshiping light and turned it into, you will be happy once you marry Thoth. And now we have all these seemingly spiritual women focusing on marrying me every day and being in union with me because they were educated, they were taught through this book that they paid for, through someone claiming that they are transmitting me and actually in divine contact with me, that this is the way to happiness. So that's where I have to explain that if you want to connect with something outside of yourself, it is only because you don't want to connect with yourself. And I'm saying that in a very like straightforward way, just in terms of to add on to that, you can't love someone else without loving yourself. So if you want to be with somebody and you're saying that you love them and you care about them, if you want to be with them from a space of you feel like you can't have what you'll have when you're with them, then you don't actually love them. That's what lust is. That's where we get the actual difference between love and lust. Lust is the endless consumption of whatever qualities from someone else that you want. So you can lust after someone for anything. Love is way more spiritual because it's desireless. Love is supposed to be stepping down from this desireless place to then the desire of just supporting. So ideal love is giving with no expectation, right? Like we kind of know that's what love truly is, to just give and not expect anything back. We know that's not sustainable. So that's why we then have balance. But when you think about like why true unconditional love is powerful, it's because of that energy. And it is the ultimate desire. All spirits subconsciously would love another spirit to give them things that they want and not have any expectation of giving anything back. That's how you get a spirit to naturally give back, right? Like that's just the reciprocity thing, because spirits like balance. So this is air, okay? Everything's communication, all right? If you can see it, it's air because it's communicating. If you can't see it, then it's either fire, it's either water, or it's a spirit. If you can see it, it's air or earth. All right. So this is edited by Bart Marshall. This Emerald tablet, after those last 3 episodes, I think this will be a a little more grounded, and I'm hoping to agree with it a little more. So we're going to hope that I am not getting as heated like I was in the last episode, or even just the last three, where I'm just like flipping out. Because that's extra. And extra is important. Extra, extra. Read all about it. That's what we're here to do. You know, we just don't want to be giving them too much energy they don't deserve. That's why I had to cut off the last episode. Yeah, like this is a whole introduction. Actually, all right. Yeah, so it's already like getting people lost. The fact that it's saying the tablet teaches that all is one. Because I definitely would never say that. So let's see this. Introduction. The Philosopher's Stone. Most ancient spiritual texts are of unknown or uncertain in origin, but few are as deeply shrouded in myth, legend, and mystery as the emerald tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, and the closely associated, the more well-known emerald tablet attributed to Hermes Trismegistus. The emerald tablet of Thoth did not surface until 1925, but the emerald tablet of Hermes has a rich history, weaving through much of antiquity. Scholars speak of the Emerald Tablet as one of the most mysterious documents ever put before the eyes of man, and describe it as everything from a succinct summary of Neoplatonic philosophy to an extraterrestrial artifact to a gift from Atlantis. The tablet is attributed to the legendary figure of Hermes Trismegistus, said to be an ancient philosopher, healer, and sage. References to Trismegistus can be found in Renaissance, Christian, Islamic, Roman, and Greek literature, and the tablet appears and disappears across the ancient world before and after the birth of Christ. No one knows what became of the original tablet. Historic accounts describe it as a slab of brilliant crystalline green stone covered with bas-relief Phoenician text. What we are now left with are numerous translations and translations of translations, right? Some of which were penned by historical figures like Isaac Newton, Roger Bacon, and Madame Blavatsky. For this book, I have created my own version that considers and incorporates 20 or so existing translations. Hey, all right, look at us, gang. We're about to get way more translations than I even bargained for. So, hey, maybe we'll get some Isaac Newton's input on here. I was forced to learn for like 15 plus years that he was super duper smart, way smarter than all of us. It'd be cool to see how smart he is looking at my stuff then. The tablet teaches that all is one, wrong, and that direct experience of the divine is possible through meditation and psychological exercise. Facts, okay? So in English, when it says all is one, okay, you are one. No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to make that work. That's horrible though. All is one. No way. In modern times, it became the foundation of Freemasonry, Theosophy, and esoteric schools such as the Golden Dawn. It is considered the original source of Hermeticism, Gnosticism, alchemy, and science. Some hold that the tablet holds the secrets of the universe. It is said that those who come to it are destined to read this ancient cryptic work, and if one is spiritually aware, he will be able to read between the lines. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean are shrouded in even more mystery, and their story requires one to set aside traditional beliefs and keep an open mind. They are said to have been written many millennia ago by an Atlantean priest-king god named Thoth, who along with many others of his race came to Earth from another planet. He lived for thousands of years, and when the Great Flood came upon the Earth that destroyed Atlantis, he escaped in his ship, then later landed in a land he called Kem, which is now Egypt. He ruled Egypt for 16 years, and in Egyptian art is pictured as having the head of an ibis, a sacred bird of Africa. He was a great writer and keeper of records, and it is said that he authored 36,525 manuscripts. I don't know where they got that number from. Like, why would it be that small? Who built the Great Pyramid of Giza as a repository for this Atlantean knowledge and a place for initiating great souls into the mysteries? In legend, deep beneath the Great Pyramid are the Halls of Amenti, spoken of in the emerald tablets, the halls of the gods, where the soul passed after death for judgment. During the many centuries of his life, Thoth raised the people of Egypt from barbarians to a great civilization. When he left that incarnation, Thoth was deified as the god of wisdom, the recorder, by those in the age of darkness that followed his passing. During later times, the soul spirit of Thoth passed into the bodies of men in the manner described in the emerald tablets. In his third incarnation, Thoth appeared as Hermes, and he was given the honorific Trismegistus, the thrice born. As Hermes, he wrote the emerald tablet, which became the basis for the ancient mystery schools. Thoth's race colonized every planet, every place on Earth, every planet, that has a pyramid architecture, which is basically everywhere, including, of course, Mesoamerica. Colonize is interesting, that word. Of course, this is the English language. Definitely, we're not going around making people believe that they're created by another god and taking over their stuff without their consent. They're just doing anything without their consent. So, whatever. But also, yeah, that's fair. We do be communicating, bro. All right, people will spread around. It's just, yeah, the word colonize hits me as chase like really hard. I'm like, So there are lessons here for me, clearly. At some point, the emerald tablets were given to the Maya for their instruction, and they remained in Mesoamerica until the 1920s. It was then that Dr. Michael Doreal, the founder of the Great White Lodge, was given channeled instructions on where to find them and to return them to the Great Pyramid. Yeah, so we built very awesome systems of sacrifice, really transmuting, alchemizing one's death with intention. That's what the Mesoamerican systems are about, ultimately. Using the awareness that you as a spirit created this body to have experiences that you can only have in this realm. And then you have the option how you want to leave this realm. And people would have whole ceremonies. It would be whole events consistently. Like ceremonies is the best word I have. Rituals and stuff. To transmute, to alchemize the death of spirits in a way that benefited them and the collective. It's just then when we hear about it through the European tongue and from this Christian Jewish perspective, it's going to be twisted with the way that they perceive life, because they can only perceive life as everyone being created by one God. So they're going to project that onto the cultures that they colonize and take over and consume. Colonize and consume. They're going to also project that idea and tell the people that they are ruling like, oh yeah, they're worshiping like all these gods and blah, blah, like us. And it's like, no. It's literally about having a relationship with these gods. Like, people weren't worshiping me. I mean, like, people do, but I don't tell them to. And it's hard for them to if they listen to me long enough. So it's like there'll always be people who don't listen. But in general, the point is to have a balanced relationship. So the point of these gods, and indigenous peoples know this, the point of these all supreme powerful gods is to show us who we truly are. And it's just we are all, quote unquote, reflecting one another, just based on how we are deciding to shine our individuality in this shared space. That's what it is. It's not about we are literally projections of all one God or one consciousness, but it's that we as individuals decided to create this water together so we can reflect each other's light for whatever reason. And then that's where there's no such thing as a coincidence, because wherever you are is somewhere you feel like being on a subconscious level, so that you can consciously collect the experiences that you were unconsciously wanting, your spirit desires back here. So that's where spirituality is individuality. These colonizers can just only perceive and then project that everyone else is created by one God, and they feel inferior, and they're sacrificing themselves to that God, because that's what they're doing. They're sacrificing themselves to something. They're giving themselves up to something outside of themselves because they don't feel worthy. When us, as indigenous peoples, we're just expressing our individuality together. Okay? Dr. Doreal's translation was originally published in mimeograph form in the 1930s and quickly became an underground sensation among esotericists of the time. For this book, I have made only minor edits to Dr. Doreal's translation for readability and format. The unedited original is freely available online and in other books. Okay. Spiritually, the Emerald Tablet and the Emerald Tablets of Thoth are closely related to alchemy and are said to reveal the secrets of creating the Philosopher's Stone. Alchemical traditions, whether European, Middle Eastern, or Asian, pursue the same prize, the creation of the Philosopher's Stone, also known as the Pearl of the Great Price, the wish-fulfilling jewel, and the heart of the sun. It is a tool that turns base lead into gold. For alchemists, the one thing of Hermes Trismegistus became the materia prima, or first matter, the source of all existence. Aristotle described it as the invisible force that contains the whole universe. From the materia prima came the five elements. Okay, so spirit. They really should just be saying spirit. They really don't want to say spirit. Materia prima. That's a spirit. Cool. Here we are. So this is already like a little more true, at least, than the last tablets. From the materia prima, the spirit, nothingness, come the elements fire, water, air, and earth, the fundamental constituents of all life. These elements are utilized in the classic 7 steps for producing the Philosopher's Stone. Cool. 1. Calcinate. Reduce a substance to ashes. Purification by fire. 2. Dissolution. Dissolve ash into a liquid. Purification by water. 3. Separation. Filter and separate the products of dissolution. Purification by air. 4. Conjunction. Recombine the products into a new substance. Purification by earth. 5. Fermentation. Break down the substance by decomposition. 6. Distillation. Boil and condense to produce a more refined substance, as in making wine or spirits. 7. Coagulation. The substance is transmuted into a crystalline or solid state, resulting in the Philosopher's Stone. The ultimate insight to be discovered by the wise is that the alchemical process is an allegory of spiritual development, outlining inescapable psychological steps one must pass through to reach self-realization. Facts. It is the ultimate transmutation, turning the base lead of ego into the gold of enlightenment through a process of destruction and refinement. Facts. To the master alchemist, producing physical gold is not the objective. Okay. I like it. Transmuting and refining the soul is a true prize. That's right. Thank you. Okay. Because the physical is created from the soul. So if you're actually focusing on changing the physical, that shows that you're lost. Really, you have to change your feelings overall about the physical. And this is where, we see everything about manifestation. Different words for just how we use our minds to consciously create life on a greater level in a more intentional way. Yes, that is Hermes, baby. Old and shit. All right. So that's it for part 1. This is looking like Yeah, like I was saying, it's going to be a much more grounded, practical, and actually real reading. The last three episodes were truly colonized fluff. And although this is still colonized with the all one idea, I would never say everything is all one. I would say it's all none. It is all nothing. That's the only way it can be true. Okay? It's all nothing. It's all spirit. And then that's where this tablet hits with the materia prima, whatever. That's supposed to be spirit. So I'll see you in part two. Gang gang.